Turn up the volume for this one. Today, the Supreme Court officially agreed to take up a high-stakes legal battle over access to the abortion pill. The Biden administration is defending federal approval of mifepristone, including its availability by mail, something many conservative activists have tried to end. This drug, if you don't know it, is most commonly used for medication abortions. So let's discuss. I want to welcome Democrat Allie Phillips, a candidate running for state office in Tennessee, whose life was at risk from her state's strict abortion ban. Joyce Vance is with us as well. Joyce, let's start with you. Walk us through this case. Do we have any clues about how the court can rule here? Because for many people, the first time we heard of this drug was after Roe was overturned. We saw some states' governors stockpile the drug.
Right. More than 50% of abortions in the United States are medication abortions, and mifepristone is one of two drugs that's essential for that procedure. It had been approved by the FDA many years ago, and that initial approval is not in question in the argument that the Supreme Court will hear. What is in question is the condition under which it can be prescribed. For instance, there's been discussion about whether telemedicine can be used and whether the woman actually has to be present in a doctor's office when it's administered. All conditions that are an effort to make it more difficult to obtain this form of an abortion. So the original case, Steph, came out of a one-judge division in a federal district court in Texas. And the litigants who manufactured standing, a group of doctors who had a very tangential connection to the procedure, went to one judge who they knew had an anti-abortion agenda. DOJ is pursuing this appeal, hoping that they can relax these onerous conditions, because when the Supreme Court reversed Roe versus Wade in the Dobbs case, it said the conditions surrounding abortion's availability and legality should be up to each state. But instead of having state-by-state procedures here, we have one judge in Texas who has, in essence, rendered medication abortion inaccessible for women across the country virtually from the point in time when they would know they were pregnant going forward. And that's what the court will have to decide. Was it serious when it said that this was up to every state, or will one judge decide it for all of us?
Allie, I see you shaking your head because you know firsthand what happens with these bans. You were forced to leave the state of Tennessee just to get necessary medical care because of the abortion ban in Tennessee. Is that why you're running?
It is in part why I'm running. Going through that experience was traumatic in itself, but there are many reasons for my decision to run. I have a 6-year-old daughter who goes to public schools here in Tennessee, and right now our governor, Bill Lee, is proposing a school voucher program, which is going to take funds away from our public schools. On top of that, my 6-year-old is scared when she goes to school because she does these active shooter drills. And so there's many things that kind of piled up together. But it truly was not being able to get health care when my life was on the line that kind of catapulted me into this political world.
What is at stake here, right? When you hear about what the Supreme Court will be ruling on, lots of people who live in states like mine often don't pay attention to the bans because they say, oh, it's not going to happen in my state. But when the Supreme Court gets involved, what should we know, Allie?
So when the Supreme Court gets involved, it's a scary situation because the Supreme Court is pretty much the sole reason for why we're in the situations we're in. They overturned Roe v. Wade, put it back in the hands of the states. And like we were just saying, is this going to be a decision that's left to the states, or are we banning it nationwide? So for women in these southern states, a lot of women are terrified to even try to get pregnant, much less go through with the entire pregnancy or feel like that they're comfortable or safe enough. Doctors can't even say the word abortion without fear of being prosecuted or losing their medical license. It's not normal.
Allie, I think we just lost your audio. Joyce, some of the loudest anti-abortion voices in Texas have suddenly gone silent since Kate Cox's case has become public. I want to share just a bit with you. Take a listen.
I'm not a state official, so I'm not going to comment on what state officials are doing.
Do you have any comment on that?
Just call her president.
Do you agree with Attorney General Braxton's actions and what he did?
Just call her president.
I actually haven't received an answer. So is there anything that you'd like to say right now on this?
Call her president.
Joyce, this is very telling, right? John Cornyn, Ted Cruz, these men have not been shy about their beliefs on abortion in the past. The fact that two such significant members of the Republican Party, elected officials, are basically silent on this one situation that's getting huge national attention, what does that tell you?
You know, this issue is toxic for Republicans. And, Steph, I remember the night that Roe was reversed, that Dobbs came down. We talked about it, and I think the best image was this notion that Republicans were like a dog who had been chasing a car, and they finally caught it. And when they caught the car, it didn't turn out to be full of the excitement and all of the good things that they hoped for. Instead, it was very toxic. Even at the inception, we talked about the fact that the impact of taking Roe away meant that women's lives would be at risk, that women would be put into difficult situations where they couldn't access life-saving medical care. And now we're seeing that come to pass in Texas and in other places. I think the senators are silent because there is nothing that they can say at this point in time. Women have become an active political force. We're going to continue that into the coming year and the coming election. And this situation with Kate Cox in Texas has only made it worse for Republicans because it has made the truth so blatantly clear that these decisions about abortion, in effect, deny women medical care when they need it to save their lives and their fertility.
Allie, you face off against anti-abortion activists all the time. Well, conservative strategists like Kellyanne Conway are now telling Republicans to embrace contraception as a winning issue. Avoid abortion, embrace contraception. What does that even mean?
Nobody really knows. At this point, they know that abortion is one of the top concerns and topics for the 2024 elections. So they know that if they're not on board with some type of reproductive health care, they're not going to keep their seats. So they are rewording their stances and how they go about abortion access. I think former President Trump had said something along the lines of how he would be okay with a 15-week ban, whereas before he said he would ban it completely from the beginning. So they're going back and forth because they know it's a winning issue and they want to be on the winning side. But we as Democrats, we're seeing past it. We know they are completely full of it. And we need voters to understand who they're voting for and to make sure they do their research and not to just listen to what's being said now, but what was said before.